is piggyback? To many of us, it's a pleasant memory of childhood, with mother and dad at home in the evening. A fairy tale or two, and then a ride up the stairs to bed. What is piggyback? To the circus man, it's an easier way of getting the big top from place to place. As far back as 1838, circuses were transporting their wagons by rail. And by the year 1870, the great Barnum was using as many as 60 railroad cars in the movement of his greatest show on earth. And this is piggyback today, a new method of transportation, combining the advantages of truck and train to provide rapid and dependable door-to-door delivery of freight. Southern Pacific's brand of piggyback is a complete and coordinated rail truck service tailored to each shipper's needs. It offers the dependability and service inherent in a great rail transportation system to even the smallest community or industry located miles from the railroad. In recent years, there have been significant changes in the transportation needs of many shippers and receivers of freight. The trend to smaller inventories and decentralization of business has created a need for the fast and flexible service that piggyback provides. Already, both large and small industries are making wide use of this new service to speed their goods to market, and the list of customers and commodities continues to grow as the service is expanded. Piggyback has had a phenomenal growth on the Southern Pacific system. Service is now provided between points on its own lines in 7 western states, and through connections with the Great Northern and the Northern Pacific, the service is extended to points in Washington, Idaho, Utah, and Wyoming. Southern Pacific also provides piggyback service between principal cities on its lines in Texas and Louisiana, and on the Cotton Belt, an SP affiliate, whose connections extend the service into the west and east. Southern Pacific is today one of the major carriers of piggyback in the nation. Engineers and car designers working closely with other departments of the railroad designed the first rolling stock to carry piggyback vans. Draftsmen followed through on the detailing and specifications of the new equipment. Today, these cars are being built or converted in quantities in SP's own shops to meet the immediate demands of this growing service. New and radically different cars designed by equipment suppliers and other railroads are being studied and tested to assure that Southern Pacific is abreast of the latest techniques in this revolutionary method of transport. Trailers are being developed to accommodate every type of commodity. Units are equipped with mechanical weather control, maintaining precise temperatures, protecting perishables from heat or cold. Versatile open-top vans to handle bulky freight such as hardware and plumbing supplies. A new sliding top van used initially in service from Utah, handling steel and returning with case goods from the canneries of California. The first such specialized service developed for a large industry was for the shipment of beer from 2 large San Francisco breweries to their Southern California distributors, and returning with empty containers in the same equipment. To show how piggyback serves this industry, let's visit Jerry Noble, SP's roving reporter on the scene at the breweries.
This is Pat Stinson, city freight agent and traffic representative for Southern Pacific. Pat's thoroughly familiar with this operation here. Pat, can you tell us what's going on right now?
Yes, Jerry, this is the shipping and receiving department of the plant. Here you will see the beginning and the end of the brewery production line.
Well, how does this operate then?
Jerry, at this time we're unloading the empty bottles that returned by a piggyback from Los Angeles this morning. At the same time, they are loading the vans with beer. At this time, these vans will be taken to the freight terminal and loaded on the flat cars and will be delivered tomorrow morning in Los Angeles.
How long does it take to load one of these vans, Pat?
About 12 minutes, Jerry. As you can see, these men are all experts. The loads are all palletized. This is a mass production and a volume type of business. It takes the smooth cooperation of everyone concerned to ensure that there's no bottlenecks and to give a smooth flow of production to the suppliers.
Here we are in the bottling department of a modern brewery, a scene of gleaming tiles, stainless steel, and hygienic cleanliness, all necessary to maintain the high quality and good flavor of the good beer that's manufactured here. Pat, how many units do they turn out in this plant every hour?
Jerry, the plant capacity here is a total of 1,400 units every minute. That makes a total of 84,000 cans and bottles that roll off this production line every hour.
Well, that's tremendous. Can we take a look outside and see the line?
Come along. Now you can see, Jerry, that such mass production, without the smooth flow of the product to the distributors, would soon result in a shortage of supply, or create a great storage problem here at the plant.
In one sense, then, the railroad is a part of this production line, keeping the beer moving continuously to the distributor.
That's right, Jerry. Absolutely. Good morning, Blaine. Blaine, I want you to meet our reporter, Jerry Noble. Jerry, this is Blaine Head, one of our PMT drivers.
How do you do, Blaine?
My pleasure, Mr. Noble.
You're undoubtedly very familiar with this piggyback operation. Can you tell me how much breakage do you get?
Practically no breakage, sir.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, we're going down to the loading ramp. We'll see you down there, Blaine. Thanks. Here we are at San Francisco's piggyback loading ramp, and here comes Gil Hyder, driver Gil Hyder, with another load from one of San Francisco's breweries. Here's Jack Sherborne, supervisor of merchandise service for Southern Pacific and one of the key men in the piggyback operation. Jack, tell me, what are these men doing here?
These men are securing the vans for movement. It is their job to see that the equipment is securely tied down and is safe for travel over the railroad.
Jack, your driver at the brewery told me that there's practically no damage at all to loads carried by piggyback. What's the reason for this?
Each load is cushioned first by the springs on the flat car, second by the resiliency of the tie-down cables, third by the pneumatic tires, and fourth by the springs on the trailer. But that's only part of the story, Jerry. We have excellent drivers and skilled, trained engine and yard crews who handle the loads with utmost care.
Well, Jack, tell me, is there any difference in the method of loading for piggyback?
Yes, in many cases now it's not necessary to block or crate the loads at all. For instance, furniture is being handled with blanket protection only.
Well, that's amazing. That certainly must appeal to the shippers. Jack, what time does this train leave?
At 3 o'clock, Jerry. That diesel switcher over there will pull these last cars and make up train 372.
Here's conductor Frank Webb and his train crew, Cecil McAllister and Homer Eatock, and they're going to take this train, the Advanced Coast Merchandise 372, on the first leg of its trip to Los Angeles. Conductor Webb, how much time do we have before the train leaves?
Well, we have about 9 minutes.
9 minutes to go. Well, Frank, how many cars do you have on this train tonight?
We'll have 26 out of town tonight.
26. Is that about an average load?
That's about the average load. We have 11 35-footers and 30 24-footers, also 2 merchandise cars on the head end.
Well, our time's getting short, and I better get up to that head end and talk to the engineer and the fireman before we get out of town here. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye. Standing with me here is Walter Lindley. He's an engineer here on the Coast Division for 30 years, Walter tells me. Now, with all that service, Walt, you're in a position to let us know, how does this compare, this freight run, with a passenger run?
Well, there's really not a whole lot difference because we run on passenger schedule anyway, so there's not a whole lot of difference.
Well, how many stops will this train make between here and Los Angeles?
Well, we make 3 stops to change crews. One at Watsonville Junction, the other San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara.
Well, you'll trail the Del Monte Special down a ways, right on their tail, won't you?
Be all the way on there till they turn off on the branch at Castroville.
Well, I can see that this train, these crews can't let this train drag its heels between here and Los Angeles if they're going to get in at 3:25 in the morning.
No, not very well. I think we're due out right now.
Well, thank you very much, Walter, for talking to us, and have a nice trip down.
Good, thank you.
Right. This is Mr. John Horgan, Chief Clerk here at San Francisco Freight Station. John, we watched the Advanced Coast merchandise load and get out of town, and before it left, we had a chance to talk to the train crew and the engine crew. Now we're interested in learning about your end of the operation. Tell me, how do you handle the billing of the freight that's on board that train?
Be glad to explain, Jerry. When our driver picks up our merchandise, he signs a bill of lading acknowledging receipt of the merchandise. He retains the shipping order portion of the bill of lading, which is delivered to our office for preparation of the waybill.
Well, what happens then?
The shipping order is passed to our rate clerk, who consults the tariff and applies the correct rate. It is then ready to pass to the comptometer operator, who computes the charges, and it is then ready for transmission by teletype to our Los Angeles agency.
Well, can we take a look at that teletype operation?
Fine. Step this way.
Thank you. Well, this is our teletype operation.
Yes, Jerry. The waybill is now being teletyped direct to our Los Angeles agency.
Well, I can see that it takes the same sort of teamwork here in the office as it does out on the loading ramp to keep this piggyback operation going.
Yes, it does, Jerry.
Well, thank you very much, John. Now we're on our way uptown to see the operation in the central office in San Francisco. This is Carl Dudley, Assistant Supervisor of Merchandise Service for Southern Pacific. And he's familiar with the piggyback operation here in the central office in San Francisco. Carl, how in the world do you keep track of all the special equipment that's necessary for this piggyback operation? For instance, we saw car 510-179 being loaded down at 3rd Street. Now, do you have a record of that car?
Why, yes, we do. Well, that particular car got into San Francisco from Los Angeles this morning and has already left on train 372 for Los Angeles this afternoon.
Well, very good.
A close check is maintained of this equipment at all times to make sure that it's always where we need it. Records are kept as far in advance as possible so we can take care of today's loadings and move the equipment where it will next be most required.
And thank you very much. Our next move is to Los Angeles, where we will watch arrival and distribution of piggyback freight at that important terminal area. Here we are at Los Angeles Freight Station in the receiving room, and with me here is Mr. Vic Frazier, who's chief clerk of this operation. Mr. Frazier, tell me what's going on with this teletype machine here.
These are piggyback bills being received by teletype from San Francisco. They cover shipments on train 372, which is the advanced section of the coast merchandise.
Yes, that's the train we saw being loaded and leaving up in San Francisco. That gets here at 3:25 in the morning, doesn't it?
That's correct.
Tell me, why is it necessary to have these bills down here so much in advance of the train?
Well, the way bills are teletyped ahead to allow time for certain accounting procedures, such as affixing the freight bill and delivery order numbers, assigning the drivers to their equipment,
and, where necessary, to give notice of arrival to the consignee.
I see. This is the piggyback loading ramp here at Los Angeles. This ramp looks a little different than at other points on Southern Pacific lines, and it may be that this is what future piggyback installations will look like. We have here 6 tracks holding from 2 to 8 cars. This permits maximum use of men and equipment in order to unload these vans expeditiously. Coming down the ramp here is Mr. Duke Graham of PMT, who's in charge of the trucks and drivers who handle distribution in this area. Mr. Graham, how do you figure out how many trucks and drivers you're going to need to handle each day's business?
Jerry, that's based on a wire that we receive, and that way we know how many drivers and what kind of equipment we need to deliver these loads.
Tell me, Mr. Graham, what are you handling here right now?
We are completing unloading the Advanced Coast merchandise.
Yeah, we saw that being loaded up in San Francisco.
Well, Jerry, I'm going to have to leave you now. 374 is in the yard. That is the second section of the coast merchandise.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Graham.
Coordinated rail truck service is furnished to a 2,000 square mile area in and around Los Angeles, home of some 4.5 million people and one of the nation's greatest industrial areas. Production and consumption is widely diversified. For example, Piggyback may handle today soap products from Long Beach, famous recreational and industrial area on the Pacific Ocean. 50 miles to the east, steel from the great mills at Fontana. General merchandise to the rapidly growing Orange County community of Santa Ana. Roofing tile and industrial cable from metropolitan Los Angeles. Petroleum products and canned fish from Terminal Island, 2 of the area's most important products. Beverages and bakery goods to San Bernardino, Pleasant Valley community and gateway to the mountain recreational areas of Arrowhead and Big Bear. Drug sundries to Hollywood, heart of the television and movie industry. Piggyback is now serving many hundreds of prosperous communities throughout the West. Daily service to Phoenix, state capital, and Arizona's largest city, heart of the rich agricultural and stock-raising area of the fertile Salt River Valley. Historic Tucson, winter playground and growing cultural and industrial community. El Paso, largest city in West Texas, industrial area and gateway to Old Mexico. Reaching into the great Northwest, Piggyback serves Portland on the Columbia River, shipping center and gateway to the north. Portland is one of the points where Union Pacific, Great Northern, and Northern Pacific extend Piggyback service to many communities off SP lines. Eugene, Oregon, lumber and farming area and center of the rich Willamette Valley. Klamath Falls, Oregon, foremost in the production of forest products. Piggyback serves Mount Shasta, Dunsmuir, and the colorful Rogue River area. Roseville, California, railroad center and distribution point for Piggyback, serving Sacramento and North Valley points. Further down the Central Valley, service at Stockton, inland port city of California. At Fresno, agricultural capital of the San Joaquin Valley and raisin center of the West. And at Bakersfield, heart of a great oil and cotton producing area. From the rail terminal at Sparks, Nevada, Reno, Carson City, and the surrounding resort areas are served. At Ogden, Utah, eastern terminus of Southern Pacific, service is provided to Salt Lake and Idaho points in conjunction with Union Pacific. The industrial and residential communities of the Bay Area are served by piggyback terminals at San Francisco, Oakland, Richmond, and at San Jose. On Southern Pacific lines in Texas and Louisiana, piggyback service has expanded rapidly, serving many communities in the rich South. At Dallas, financial capital of Texas and great market and industrial center. At San Antonio, historic and colorful, the principal commercial city of the South Texas trade area, extending into Mexico. At Houston, largest city of the South and the second greatest seaport of the United States, serving markets of the world. Houston is the center of a vast mining, agricultural, and industrial area. And at New Orleans, world-famous seaport at the mouth of the Mississippi, rail and market center, one of the world's best-loved cities, a blend of modern industry and old world charm. The American railroads are entering a new era of competitive transportation. Southern Pacific is meeting this challenge through a program of continuous improvement in services and equipment, in which research and development is playing a most important part. An educational program is being carried on with Southern Pacific employees, helping them to keep pace with the hundreds of new developments that are a part of modern railroading. More powerful and efficient locomotives, modern communications through radio, television, and microwave, great advances in electronic train control, new speed in car handling in terminals through installation of push-button classification yards. And on the main line, installation of heavier rail and road bed, and the elimination of many curves and grades, all of which make possible faster schedules and still greater safety. And now another Southern Pacific development, piggyback. One more step in maintaining Southern Pacific's position as the West's greatest transportation system.